Blake Lively is saying to Justin Baldini, "Are you cool? Like, are you cool?" I'm sure everybody has heard by now that this whole scandal between Blake Lively and Justin Baldini, apparently he was inappropriate while they were filming that movie, It Ends With Us. And let me just say, the movie was so good. I watched it on Netflix a couple days ago. After hearing all this stuff, I'm like, is this a publicity stunt? Publicity stunt? Because it worked. It totally worked. But clearly, it's not a publicity stunt. Like, this is real. This is real life. Like, Miss Lively is live. She's lit. Okay? But the movie was good. You could tell there was chemistry. A lot of back and forth. Like, it was chemistry in that movie. Okay? So let's get into what happened because Miss Lively says her and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, are not attending the Golden Globes over all this controversy. So let's get into it.
Tonight, Justin Baldoni's lawyer speaking out for the first time since Blake Lively accused the actor of unprofessional and sexually inappropriate behavior on the set of It Ends With Us and a coordinated smear campaign to damage her reputation.
Was there a coordinated smear campaign to bring down Blake Lively?
100% no.
Lively has filed a civil rights complaint and a lawsuit against her co-star, who also directed the film, where she claims that in retaliation for raising concerns, Baldoni and his team launched an online social manipulation campaign to destroy Lively's reputation. The New York Times published the first story about Lively's allegations. Now Baldoni and 9 other plaintiffs, including Baldoni's PR firm, are suing the paper for libel and say they plan to take further legal action.
Do you plan to sue Blake Lively?
Absolutely.
You will?
Yes.
In the filing, Baldoni's lawyers contend text messages were taken out of context or excluded, including one appearing to show Lively inviting Baldoni into her trailer while pumping, which they say refutes Lively's claim that Baldoni would enter her trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding.
We plan to release every single text messages between the two of them. We want the truth to be out there. We want the documents to be out there. We want people to make their determination based on receipts.
In a statement, the New York Times stood by its reporting and said we plan to vigorously defend against the lawsuit. A lawyer for Lively said nothing in this lawsuit changes anything about the claims and her complaints. While Lively previously said, I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
The tea is hot. The tea is piping hot. Piping hot. What is happening? Was it misconstrued? I mean, because a lot of things can be misconstrued. A lot of things. You can mean one thing and somebody take it another. And but this is the thing. In the moment, if something is happening and you feel uncomfortable, why not tell the person? Like, did that ever happen? I didn't read that anywhere. I I don't know. Let's see, because I don't remember reading that she said, "Stop, don't do that." Maybe he didn't know. Like in the text message, she invited him in there. Maybe he thought, for example, what about if he came back in there again and she was breastfeeding? It's just like, if you told him, just as inappropriate, I'm feeling uncomfortable, and he continued to do it, then I can see. But if you never said anything and then in the text message you're telling him to come while you're breastfeeding, but you said that he barged in while you was breastfeeding, and again, it could be a thing of you invited him that one time, and then he knocked on the door again, and you're breastfeeding, and then you're like, now I'm not in the mood for it today, so don't come in here. Did you tell him that? Did you let him know? It's my thing. Let's get into the Golden Globes part because the people is backing out of the Golden Globes. Okay, so Blake Lively's Golden Globes decision inspires celebrities to follow suit amid Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Blake Lively has reportedly decided to skip the 2025 Golden Globes alongside her husband Ryan Reynolds amid an ongoing legal battle with It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman are all set to miss the Golden Globes 2025. Lively, 37, has reportedly decided to avoid the annual award show, which begins on Sunday, January 5th. So that's today, okay. Due to her ongoing legal dispute with her It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni. However, it's not just it's not just Blake who would be absent from this Hollywood event. Her husband Reynolds and his Wolverine and Deadpool co-star Jackman will also be sitting out this year. According to Deadline, Lively, Reynolds, and Jackman had all decided not to attend the awards ceremony on Sunday, well before the It Ends With Us legal battle began, indicating that their absence is unrelated to the ongoing scandal. Nonetheless, the tense situation between Baldoni and Lively has undoubtedly cast a shadow over the start of the actress's year, with the hot button issue being a major talking point in many industry circles. Due to the ongoing legal dispute, it's understood that there's no chance of the situation being mentioned at the Globes, with comedian Nikki Glaser, who is scheduled to host the show, already confirming she won't be making any jokes about the situation. Speaking to Yahoo Entertainment on Thursday, Glaser said, I think the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing is such a hot button thing right now that even a mere mention of it will seem like I could be on the wrong side of things, even though I would never be. And continued, I also don't want to give his name any weight. So I guess everybody is taking her side. Um, and I'm not saying that no one should or people should be taking her side, but we need to let all the facts come out before we just jump on the bandwagon and just are like, "Mm, I'm not going to say anything about him because I don't want to give any weight to his name. We don't even know fully what's going on. And even the text messages is contrary. So it's just like, yeah, no, I'm going to reserve my judgment until all the facts are out. And that's what people should do instead of just jumping to one side when you don't even know everything. That's what everybody did with Johnny Depp and his wife, and look what happened. You ate your words. You ate your words. You ate your words. So let's just wait. So let's see something. Let's go down an additional rabbit hole with this. The haunted new twist in the Blake Lively Justin Baldoni scandal. His team is suing the New York Times for libel. It's really something. And that was in the first clip that we watched. Yes, Blake. There's new twist in this dispute actors Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and it says a lot more about our society than it does about them. Last month, Lively filed a legal complaint that claimed Baldoni and film producer Jamie Heath. I don't remember reading it. That it was about anybody else besides Justin. So that's interesting news to me. But not only sexually harassed her on the set of their blockbuster hit It Ends With Us, but that they, along with their production company, Wayfarer, hired a crisis public relations firm to smear her reputation the past summer after the film's release. The New York Times reported on the details of the allegations made in the complaint, which include messages from the crisis PR representative asserting they could easily very lively. Baldoni and Heath deny any wrongdoing. Now that's interesting. Like, if you're innocent, why are you trying to smear her name or smear her reputation? The response to the story was gigantic, in part because the smear campaign against Lively was successful even beyond the scope of what the crisis PR firm could have hoped to accomplish. As one of the crisis PR reps who orchestrated the campaign put in a message uncovered via subpoena, the amount of bashing Lively was subjected to online was actually sad because it just shows you have people really want to hate on women. People don't. I don't think overall people want to hate on women. Like, I think that's a stretch. But Baldoni, known previously for his role on the CW Jane the Virgin, was dropped by his talent agent. He had branded himself as a feminist, and after the Times report an honor he received in December at a star-studded event for men who elevate women and promote gender equality was rescinded. So he did all of that, but he's sexually harassing a woman. But sometimes those are the ones that's like really into something on one end is like really on the opposite end. Like, that's why they go so hard for it, because they're like putting on a mask. So that's actually kind of sad. His female co-host on a podcast called Man Enough quit the show. The documentation seemed incontrovertible with the far-reaching implications. It showed, as the Times put it, an additional playbook for waging a largely undetectable smear campaign in the digital era. The new twist in the Baldoni, Wayfarer, and crisis communication representatives have now sued the Times for libel for its reporting, claiming some $250 million in damages. Baldoni and Wayfarer don't dispute that they hired a crisis PR firm, but say they did so out of a legitimate need for public relations protections from Lively herself, as they feared she was on the brink of taking some interactions out of context or of blowing them out of proportion. What happened on the set, they argue, wasn't actually sexual harassment, and Lively's claims that it was are simply false. In fact, it also implies she was just a diva, and supposedly they're going to sue Lively soon too. Baldoni and Wayfarer's version of events, also detailed in the new lawsuit, is a funhouse mirror of Lively's. In her telling, sexual harassment is clear. In theirs, the interactions were professional or simply personal, but not in any way inappropriate. And so this is where we are in 2025, post Me Too, decades after the Nita Hill hearings, still quibbling over what sexual harassment even is. Yeah, that's the thing. Anita Hill, they didn't believe her. Ew, this is so messy. Uh, Lively said that Baldoni showed her a video of his new wife giving birth, something she found shocking and wildly inappropriate. See, I'm going to keep reading because I want to know if she said something to him, because he might have thought it was okay. And it wasn't. But sometimes people don't know it's not okay until you say it. Like, some people are okay with stuff like that. Some people are okay with things that you are not okay with. We all have different boundaries. So I hope she said something to him and just didn't just take it, and then once the taping was over, sued him or filed a complaint. I don't. Baldoni says he did so in the context of discussing her birth scene in the film, and there is a birth scene in the film, and that the video is not pornographic, but rather deeply personal with no sexual overtone. His wife, Baldoni's suit says, condoned his showing it. And Lively's telling, Baldoni conveyed his wife's consent by saying she isn't weird about stuff like this, which Lively understandably took to imply that it might be weird for her to not welcome it. What? She isn't weird about this stuff, which Lively understandably took to imply that it might be weird for her to not welcome it. So Blake thought it might be weird for her not to see it because the wife was okay with it. Child, Lively also alleges that when filming a scene without sound, Baldoni went off script and out of character and ran his lips over her neck, telling her she smelled good. Now that's inappropriate. She says he also barged into her dressing room when she was breastfeeding. Like that's what I've read before, and he's saying that he showed a text message where she was saying to come in while she was coming to run the line. She was only feeding the baby or breastfeeding the baby. Lively says Baldoni and Heath talked about their past addictions to pornography, which made her extremely uncomfortable. When she tried to shut it down by saying she had never seen porn, she alleges Baldoni announced that claim to a larger group, compounding her discomfort. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. When she tried to shut it down by saying she had never seen porn, why not say, this is making me uncomfortable? Don't sparse any words. This is why the lines are gray, because it wasn't definitive that you were uncomfortable. Speak up for yourself or remove yourself. I don't know. Well, Donnie's lawsuit doesn't respond in detail to every allegation, but says that Lively often nursed in meetings and other professional settings, and in fact invited him into her trailer while she was pumping. But Lively is far from the only villain in Baldoni and Kylie's telling. The New York Times itself, they say, has squandered its reputation as Times reporters have ever more frequently veered spectacularly from their own journalistic guidelines. When partisans derive the Times as fake news. A rallying cry for Donald Trump and his followers, they do so, the Baldini suit says, with some justification. There's perhaps the most fascinating element: a self-styled male feminist, Baldoni, defending himself by saying that the woman is lying and his actions weren't harassment, and then referencing the words of an incoming president who was notorious for being accused of sexual abuse many times over and who was found liable for it by a jury. Right. It's totally possible that Baldoni and his co-defendant and co-plaintiffs are correct that Lively is a diva who made unreasonable demands and ostracized him. But even if Baldoni's version of the events are true, it's a bit rich that a male feminist who claims he made this movie simply to help raise awareness about domestic violence and help survivors will refuse to take a hard look at the acts that are not in dispute, including showing a video of his wife giving birth to a work colleague. Lively has given birth to 4 children. She doesn't need to watch an unsolicited video of her co-star's nude wife to know what it entails. Okay, I'm not going to read anymore. But yeah, this is going to get weird. It's going to get weird because it's going to be about what feels comfortable to you, what feels comfortable to me, what wasn't said in the moment. It's going to be all that stuff. Wow. Wow. So we shall see what's going to happen with this. It's going to be a lot of he said, she said, of course, and it's going to be about comfort level, and it's going to be about you made me uncomfortable by doing X, Y, and Z, and the other person saying, well, I didn't know you were uncomfortable, or, this wasn't uncomfortable to me. And that's why I just think it's very important to Say when you're uncomfortable because not everyone knows. Not everyone is doing a temperature check. Not everyone is paying attention, but he claims to be a feminist. So you would think that he would be more in tune with what women are feeling without saying it. I don't know. But we shall see what goes on with this lawsuit. I'm going to end it with another video. And yeah, until next time, see you later.
Of some of these celebrity lawsuits that are happening around the nation. So, of course, another one that has made so many headlines. I'm talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Of course, the two former co-stars are going back to back. We do know that Blake Lively filed a motion last month, and in those documents, she alleged instances of sexual harassment and retaliation while on the set of the movie It Ends With Us. Of course, that movie made so many headlines because folks were so interested in seeing the two co-stars together. But there have been new developments. We do now know that Justin Baldoni plans to sue Blake Lively and release every text messages. This is according to his attorney. This all comes after Justin Baldoni has already filed a lawsuit against the New York Times, where that bombshell report came out, talked about the It Ends With Us co-star Blake Lively's allegations that are currently against him. So for this discussion, I want to bring back into the conversation legal affairs journalist Megan Cuniff. Megan, thanks so much for staying with us after that break. This is a story that so many people are following and are interested in. What are your initial thoughts here, and how do you think that this is going to shake out now, knowing that Justin Baldoni is fighting back?
I think so many people are watching this, and it's such a window into the Hollywood PR machine, and also such an interesting use of subpoenas by the attorneys here, how they were able to get these text messages and air them out in this in the original complaint, Blake's original complaint. I think everyone has their eyes on these lawsuits, and I think it also embodies and is going to be a good lesson on the differences between the court system and litigation, and then public relations, and how so much litigation is also encompassed with public relations. And there's a lot of extraneous stuff in lawsuits that might not be legally relevant, but are definitely relevant for the public relations arm of the lawsuit.
And when we're talking about this lawsuit, again, we've seen them go back and forth. Initially, those allegations that Blake Lively came out with were very strong. And now we know that with that report that was written by the New York Times, a very credible news source that does these exposés often when these cases comes out, Justin Baldoni is fighting back. He's now filing a $250 million lawsuit against them for libel. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he has a case? Why is he taking this route?
The lawsuit certainly attracted headlines, and it's always good if you're trying to get a headline. People love numbers. I learned that working at the Spokesman Review in Spokane. Always get a number in the headline if you can. So 250 million certainly gets people's attention. But there, of course, if this ever gets to a damages phase before a jury, there would be a whole process and analysis to reach a figure that I'm not sure could total 250 million, but that right now is his intended target. And I think it's another example of the public relations arm of litigation. And I think it was filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court, which is usually pretty backed up with civil cases. So I'm not sure how fast we're going to see it into the court, and certainly before the jury, but it's certainly done its job, and it's made its effort in terms of making a splash public relations wise and getting people's attention.
And Megan, with this conversation that's happening, normally I can sort of test the waters through social media, kind of get a gauge at where people are. At first, of course, when It Ends With Us, they were on that press run and that press tour, and the negative things were coming out about Blake Lively. A lot of folks did seem to be on the side of Justin Baldoni. But in the wake of her filing that initial lawsuit and just putting out those text messages in the article, as we just discussed, it seemed like the wave shifted completely to Blake Lively's side and we're against Justin. Now he's fighting back. Where do you think they stand in the court of public opinion? And of course, do you think this is going to eventually affect if this goes any further to a courtroom?
I do think that there was a lot of good attention on her lawsuit just in how she was able to get her narrative out, and that certainly his lawsuit is now getting a lot of attention. But I think we're living in such a fragmentized society. There's such a small media landscape and a kind of insular voices that we all watch so many different news sources that there's certainly a group responding to all this, but I don't know if larger public opinion on this is swinging back and forth on the filings. And then we also have the issue of short-term memory. The public, there's just so much going on, and when there's celebrity news like this, you wonder how much long-term memory the public is going to have for it if this ever does go to trial in a year or two or longer than that. But it's just an interesting look into how, like I said, how fragmentized the media landscape is and how many different options we have for our news sources, because I'm sure there's so many people hanging on every filing here, but then there's also a majority of people who aren't.
And when I think about this, I feel like they're both two actors now fighting for their reputations. And again, like you said, it's really exposing how the PR machine works in the land of Hollywood. We're getting an inside look through some of these filings and conversations. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're looking at this potential case, do you think that things change now because we are in the Me Too era? Of course, this has been going on for several years, but with Blake's allegations, they're very serious against Justin, and that could potentially be career ending.
Yeah, I think career ending and that all that is just kind of gonna have to come out to play over the next couple of years. Like I said, we're dealing with so many other attention grabbers, and the public has such a short-term memory. And he seemed to have responded to this really quick. So it's a matter of, could it all just get so saturated that it all just kind of cancels each other it out, and the public just kind of writes it off all as celebrity noise? Or is this going to resonate with people moving forward, and is this going to bubble back up into something more serious? Because these complaints always have such a short lifespan in terms of news coverage, because the lawsuit gets filed and there's a bunch of coverage, and then another lawsuit gets filed, there's a lot of coverage, but the civil process is so slow that after the filings, there can be kind of a big lull when there's not a lot going on.
And I just showed some video there of Blake Lively's husband. Quickly before I let you go, Megan, I want to put him back up here because Ryan Reynolds, of course, another famous actor there in Hollywood who has a lot of power and influence. Folks, of course, talking about how he is potentially involved in this lawsuit. As we know that he, of course, was on set, and that's where things started to get messy, I would say, as well for them. They pointed out. Do you think that this is going to affect his career in any way as well, or people are going to just kind of chalk it up to, hey, he's there for his wife?
Yeah, I think a lot is going to depend on the outcome of these lawsuits and where we go from here. I think right now, I wouldn't say it's a career ender, and if he'll be able to recover is still a question. But it's so early on. But he seems to have definitely taken a hit from this. But like I said, we're in such a fragmentized landscape that the idea that the mass public knows about this or has a strong opinion about it, it's hard to tell.
It certainly is. Well, we appreciate you for being here with us on Live Now from Fox. Of course, Megan Cuniff, she's always here to break down the very latest as we go through these celebrity lawsuits. Meg, and of course, I'll be checking back in with you. I do know you have your eye on a few cases. Is there anything else that you kind of want to leave us with that we should be paying attention to?
Yes, one big thing coming up here in Los Angeles is the rapper ASAP Rocky, who is with Rihanna. He has 2 kids with Rihanna. He's going to be going on trial just down the street from me in Los Angeles County Superior Court for 2 counts of first-degree assault. So that is later in January, and that's going to be quite a big one. He's accused of shooting a friend from high school a couple years ago on a street in Hollywood. There's surveillance video evidence and other things that's going to come in. So I think that is going to be our next really big high-profile trial here in LA.
I remember when that story broke, so I will certainly be checking in with you, Megan, as soon as that gets underway so we can get the full outlay of what unfolds there in the courtroom. Thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Well, there you have it. Who knows Who knows, people? But we're going to stay on top of it and see where this goes. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching.